Hi, welcome to the Lisa Mitchell Show. I am your host, Lisa Mitchell, and this season is all about powering your presence. I'm a body language expert, a certified forensic interviewer, a tech company co-founder, and a bunch of other stuff, but we are not here to talk about me today. We are here to help you level up your presence in a way most people really don't spend enough time thinking about. So I recently had an encounter with this amazing woman, and I was like, let's do this for the masses. So you're going to get a little taste of what I got with the amazing Nicole Busch of Nicole Blair Wear. Nicole, thank you so much for being on the Lisa Mitchell Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah, I'm still kind of like head spinny, giddy, great first datey feeling from our little episode recently. And so you guys, I have to tell you, it was so much fun. If you've never had a professional stylist, someone who's all about building your personal brand, has just really a great knowledge and depth and love for pulling people together. If you've never had the opportunity to work with somebody, you're in luck, because I have her for you. But I got to test drive last week. Nicole actually came into my closet. Okay, so that's terrifying. Like, let's just talk about that, right? Not Nicole. Nicole's not terrifying, but the thought of having somebody come in, and I'm like this confident, put together, independent woman, and yet tell me somebody's going to come and dig through my closet for an hour and I break out in hives. So, but the amazing part is how much freaking fun we had, how totally comfortable you made it, and what you were able to do in such a short period of time. And I know that that's come over a vast and varied amount of experience in all different realms, Nicole. I would love for you to share with our listeners and audience a little bit about your story and how you ended up in my closet last week.
All right. I love this. Well, first of all, I didn't start here. I ended up here, and I don't want to say it was by luck, because I don't think anything happens by chance. I think everything happens with a purpose. And so I'm going to take you back a little bit, but I actually started in the fitness industry, and I ran a very successful boot camp called Mickey's Army. And I was seeing these women lose all of this weight, and they kept showing up in their husband's oversized t-shirts. And the psychology really intrigued me. Like, I wanted to know, when you lose 70 pounds, it's like a small child. Why are you not wearing a bikini everywhere you go? I would be strutting my stuff like I was Beyonce on a runway. So that was really interesting to me. And so at the end of that session, I wound up doing a runway show using all of my clients. And I really felt complete at that moment. I was like, I love this. This is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And, I struggled in school. I struggled growing up. And so I never really knew where I fit in. And I think that's why it's so important for me now, working with women, is that, I want every single woman to feel great about herself, because I certainly didn't growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
man. Yeah. I think, and I think for anybody listening to this right now or watching it, it's like that resonates so deeply, of that not belonging, not fitting in. I was always like 6 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier than everybody else in my school ever, up until everybody started catching up in high school or junior high. But yeah, I feel that so deep, and I feel like that kind of, you carry that crap into your adult life, right? Like, even when you're established, and you saw it.
It's interesting, because I think we're all just that little girl who's 7th grade, hoping that we get picked, hoping that people like us. I mean, we all bring stuff to the table. And then you put on top of that, there's this huge movement happening right now for women. And, I sometimes think we sabotage ourselves unknowing. Like, we're not aware that, like, all of the stuff that we brought with us years later has an impact on us. And it shows up in our work life. It shows up in our personal life. And so I just want to make that easier for people.
I love that you've powered that pain into your purpose, and you did the boot camp, you got really lit up about that, and then that took you on another adventure, right?
It did. So I wound up moving. My husband and I moved shortly after that to California, and I decided I really want to fuse fitness and fashion together. And I wound up going to school. I was certified. I studied under some of the best teachers out there. But I had a huge change. I was handpicked by Stacey London of TLC's What Not to Wear, and I studied under her, and I actually did a few style tours with her. So that was a pretty big game changer for me. And I look back.
That is a big, big freaking deal. Yes, absolutely. How did that change how you saw your ability in this field? Like, how did it change how you felt like you fit in?
Ironically, still at that point, I was a little like, this is cool, but it didn't resonate with me. I didn't digest it. It didn't like soak into my body. It wasn't until I started my company, Nicole Blair Wear, and my very first client was an Olympic gold medalist.
Oh yeah, no bigs.
No big deal. But I have to tell you, I think the confidence that I had working with Stacey allowed me to get this client. I mean, I met Brandy in a movie theater on Mother's Day, and she and my husband were talking about soccer, and she looked familiar, but I didn't know who she was. Like, I wasn't into sports. I look athletic, but I'm not athletic. And so she and my husband kept talking about soccer, and I thought, oh, I can't listen to this. Right. So I wound up Googling her. And as I did that, I saw that she had this program called Reach Up. And so I politely interrupted and said, oh, Brandy, tell me about this Reach Up program. And she said, oh, how do you know about that? And I was just honest, and I was myself. And I said, honestly, I didn't want to talk about soccer anymore. I couldn't stand listening to it. And from there, it snowballed into, oh, I'm going to be on ESPN for 30 days, and I need a stylist. And I said, you're in luck, I'm it. So that's how I landed my first client.
Love it.
Yeah, it was, I think having that confidence from Stacey just made me realize, like, I do have a lot to offer, and to get out of my own way.
Yeah, that's huge. So you're dressing, gold medalist, no big deal, personal stylist for 30 days on TV, okay, cool. Yeah. But how was that? Was that the thing? Was that your thing?
No. I think a lot of people, for most people, it would be. I mean, after that, I dressed someone for a red carpet, and I mean, I was flying high. I said to my husband, I'm just, a girl from Queens Middle Village in New York. Like, I don't know how I got here. And it felt good. I mean, I was doing what I love, but it was my third client that really changed things for me. She was an executive at Facebook. She had put on 50 plus pounds. She was going through a divorce. And what should have been a 2-hour appointment, I was there for 5 hours. And we laughed and we cried. And, I saw her in a light that she didn't see herself. And I went home that day, and I mean, my face was blotchy. I had been crying. And I walked in the door and I said to my husband, I know what I want to do. I want to work with the everyday woman. Like, this woman is so badass and she doesn't see it. And if I could just see herself through my eyes, and that was the game changer for me. Like, the switch was flipped, and I was like, I know this is what I want to do.
That's crazy. Like, I love that you just got that instantaneous clarity, right?
Oh.
Like, the mystery was solved. The piece was found. You're like, yep, that's my jam.
It was my jam. And I was like, I want to scream from the rooftop when I see people. I mean, I'll be in a restaurant and I think, gosh, is it weird if I just walk over to this woman and tell her I can make her so great? Like, there's something in her and I just want to pull it out. I mean, is that weird?
Little bit, just a skosh. Yeah.
Contain
So what do you do with that, right? When you get that revelation, and I think there's a lot of people listening and watching this that they've had that journey of like, yeah, this is good, but I'm not really lit up. And then they get lit up. And then what? Like, then how do you start, like, you're screaming from the rooftops, but you can't walk up to people in restaurants. So how do you start, like, building that into your brand? And, I talk a lot about how you're showing up in the room, right? And showing up as your most clued in, confident self is something I preach all the time. So once you realize that that's kind of that's your light up thing, like that is what makes you tick. How do you start translating that into actionable steps that lets you walk into the room with ownership of that?
Well, I think it's interesting because most women, I find, we know what we don't like about ourselves, but most people don't know what they like about themselves.
Woohoo. That's a convicting statement right there. Yeah.
It's like if I say, what don't you like about yourself? You're like, hang on, laundry list comes out like Santa Claus with names on it. But if I say, what do you like about yourself? What's your best attribute? There's a pause. And I have to raise my hand and say, for a long time, there was a pause for myself too. And so for me, I think educating women on what is your personal brand? What does it mean? It's marketing yourself. It's the way you package yourself. It's, we talk about presence and walking in the room, but like, how are you showing up? And, for me, I try to lightly infuse that when I talk to someone. If I see something that's beautiful about someone, I say it. I'm like, let me interject and tell you, like, Lisa, I love your smile. You light up a room. That's something that registers with someone, and they keep that, and they think twice next time when they walk into a room. And if they are serious, they're like, oh, she said I had a great smile. Let me smile, and it's these little tidbits, and people start to get a taste of that and they want more. And I want to give more.
Yeah. So I like this concept about, being able to see the things in people that they can't see themselves. But what do you do when you get that person that just like won't buy in? Just refuses to see it. Like, what do you do with that? Because I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah. It's, the hardest thing I think about what I do is delivering a message and having compassion while doing it. Mm-hmm. I never want to break anybody's spirit. My goal is not to say, what the hell are you doing?
Why are these pants in your closet?
I want to sometimes say that. I mean, there are a few women that are on my list that I'm like, I will get you by the end of the year. I've got my own goals. And so I think what I try to deliver to women is just making them think. If I have the clients that say, when I lose weight, I'm going to call you. I hear that a lot. And I say to them, great. I challenge you. What if you don't lose that weight for 3 years? You're going to be miserable for 3 years.
Right.
For the woman who wants to beat to her own drum and has a message and a voice, I challenge her. Are people listening to you? If we up your game just a little bit, and I'm not saying conform, don't change who you are, but just really highlight and enhance who you are, your message will ricochet and will be delivered. It's like a pebble on a pond when you throw it, right? The vibration and the ripple effect. Your presence has a huge impact on what you bring to the table and what you bring home. Like, what's happening in your pockets.
That is so true. I love how you just called it out, the correlation between how you're showing up, what type of presence you're having, what your personal brand says, and the bottom line. And we can talk all day long about, oh, well, it shouldn't matter what you look like, and you should be able to have equality just based on skill set. But as someone who's a professional woman, both, you know, in kind of the communication speaker space and also in the tech space, it freaking matters. And it matters, you know, we were, you know, for those of you watching, we were kind of riffing on an article from Harvard Business Review last night that was about, was written by Carmine Gallo, and who's the amazing author. He wrote Talk Like TED and a bunch of other books. And he's really an expert in this connection and presentation space. And he had data around founders, like technology and company founders that were preparing to go IPO. So preparing to take their companies public, which is a huge financial transaction, changes the trajectory of what people have worked to build. And the founders that showed up in investor meetings in a professional, polished way, I think he said it was the ratio he used was 25% better dressed than how you expect the rest of the room to be. So he actually put a number on it. So upping your game, approximately 25% more polished, more professional, more put together. Those companies actually IPO'd at a higher valuation based on the investor's confidence, trust, and just liking the founders better. Like, that's freaking crazy. Like, we're talking, like, if you put dollars on that from even your basic IPO, which usually happens at like $144 million, like, what? Like, that's millions of dollars in difference because of how you're showing up in those meetings.
Well, and I think what people don't realize is that there is a correlation. There's a psychological correlation. There's something that happens. It occurs, this psychological change when you put on certain clothes. I mean, think about it. If you're not feeling great, you put on sweatpants, right? It kind of like, it comforts you. There's this soothing effect. When you put on a suit, I mean, why do you think they always tell people wear a suit to an interview? There's a psychological change that happens and it occurs. And, you know, while we try to say, you know, you're not judged, you are. And I think, as, you know, something you said, you touched on, was equality and, you know, equal pay. And, you know, I struggle with this because I love that and I want that for women. And I see some of these women that are preaching it, and I look at them and I say, but you're showing up in flip-flops, or you're showing up in a cotton dress. Like, men don't show up to work in flip-flops unless you're Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like, so as we talk about equality, you know, I feel it's also my job to educate women and say, make sure you practice what you preach. And, you know, there's that psychological bandwidth that happens when you step into a room, and how you're viewed. It does have an impact on every aspect of your life.
Yeah, it is important. And I know there's people that really kind of dig their heels in and kind of, you know, are staunchly defending, well, it just shouldn't matter. I'm going to show up however I want to show up. And I have been in phases of that too. And one of the problems I shared with you when we were working together recently is this idea that I have to dress for the rooms that I'm in. And for me, with the nonprofit work I do and the technology sector work I do and the communications, you know, corporate communications work that I do, I can walk into 4, 5 different functions and purposes a day, all which require, or I thought required, kind of a different dress code, a different version of me fitting into the rooms that I was walking into. And I love that you challenged me on that and, you know, really brought the truth that it's not me dressing to fit into the rooms I'm going into, but me taking me and the truest form of me and the best fitting form of me into those spaces. Like, that was really one of those, like, I didn't even know that was an option.
And I think that's the aha moment that people have. I think we're so used to slotting ourselves and putting ourselves in a box, but it's like, what if Lisa just showed up as like the best version of Lisa, right? People hire you because you're you. People hire me because I'm Nicole. They don't hire me. I mean, they may hire me because I'm a stylist, but they hire me for my personality and what I bring to the table, my education, my skill set. my humor, you know, I mean, these are things that, so if I start conforming, and I hate to use the word conforming, but I think that that's kind of a big stigma that's happening right now, is that people think they have to adjust and be someone else other than who they are. And I challenge that, because I believe that you just have to be the best version of yourself. And if you show up every day giving 100%, people want that and they appreciate it. I mean, you hear the word authentic, which I think is a little overplayed right now, but you know, if you show up your authentic self, everything else shines. You know, my dad taught me at a very young age. He said, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And I think the aha moment for you was when we were able to look at you, all of your great assets, and said, how do we bundle you? How do we package you to be the best Lisa? And you're feeling it, right? Like your energy is completely different.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. Totally true.
And,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would say, I just think it's like, I don't know, like, why we wait for permission, right? Because if it wasn't for you, like, not only, first of all, I needed the education, honestly. Like, I still have a ton to learn from you, but I'll take baby steps, right? So just the education, and then the permission, you know, wear big earrings if you want to wear big earrings, wear bright lipstick if you want to wear bright lipstick. Like, who the frick cares, right? Like, right? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I can do that, you know? And again, it's like, this, I don't think I'm different than anybody listening or watching this right now. Like, I think we get tired of making decisions and we get tired of trying to figure out life. And the first thing that we throw off onto the corner somewhere is just ourselves. And we just we don't have the bandwidth to make the decision, right? Which I think is what one of your areas of giftedness that I really appreciate, is that you can create a system, right? Where it just all works. And I'm a big process person. So you give me a system that works, like, I will be loyal forever. So how was that something that, like, have you always kind of been like process oriented like that? Or for you, is it more visionary? Like, how do you, if I'm looking in my closet, if I'm listening or watching this, and when it's over, I go and I stand in front of my closet and I'm like, I don't even, like, what was she talking about? Like, I can't do anything with this, right? What are some steps that you would give people to kind of quick start them into figuring out where to go next?
Right. Well, first of all, no, I am not process oriented. I'm a hot mess. My brain, I equate my brain to my laptop with like 1,000 tabs open. So no, I'm not a process person. But what I found is that, you know, clothes, it's vulnerable. And I mean, think about it. If you don't have clothes on, it's as vulnerable as you get.
Oh,
yeah. So for me, I wanted to make it, one, accessible to everyone at every price point. I didn't want people to feel that you had to go out and buy all designer clothes to feel empowered.
Right.
So I wanted to take that into consideration, but I also knew that a process would help. You know, I mean, think about anything that you do, there's steps to it. And, you know, you don't just start walking before you crawl. And so if I could give my clients these little tips, then that was a way that it helped them register and they were successful with it.
Right.
And it also made me realize, like, hey, slow down, Nicole. Like, what you know, not everybody knows.
Yeah.
Just as, you know, I mean, if you tell me to do an Excel spreadsheet, I'd still be here in like 3 weeks if you came back and checked on me.
No, I get it. And that was, you know, right. It's the overwhelm. It's, I buy stuff and it takes me forever to buy anything because I'm like, do I love it? Do I need to love it? Do I need it? Right. So by the time it gets in my closet, I'm already exhausted and probably tired of it. And then it hangs in my closet. And then I'm like, well, now what the hell do I do with it? Because I don't know what it goes with or how to make it work or if it's the right length or if it's the right fit, you know, what do? I do what most women do who are in my position, and you buy everything black and white or gray and hope for the best.
Well, and honestly, that's every single woman out there. So I like to say to my clients, first of all, just be honest with yourself, but also like, don't be so hard on yourself, right? Like, kind of put the bat back down and just realize that you're not going to get this overnight. You didn't get a closet full of clothes with nothing to wear in 2 weeks. So you're not going to fix it overnight. But little steps that you could take, I think, go to people that you really love and trust and ask them, what do you like about me?
Oh,
Right? So you go to your friend, your honest friend that's not going to push you under the bus, that's not going to, you know, point daggers at you when you're being vulnerable, and say, what's a really great attribute about me? What do you notice when I walk into a room? So I challenge everyone to do that, because you'll really get feedback on things that you had no idea was something that you brought to the table,
yeah.
you know? And then secondly, stop wearing black and white. More so black. And I know women across America probably hate me right now, but black is, okay, let's talk about why people choose black, all right? It's easy, it's slimming, and it goes with everything. So on a checklist, awesome. From a personal branding standpoint, black could be really off-putting. So if you're someone who is doing a speaking engagement, or you're in HR, you're working with people, black could be really standoffish. And so just warming that up a little bit. You know, when you and I talked about a bright lip, I wear black all the time, but you better believe I throw on a pop of color on my lip, because it just lightens the mood and it says I'm approachable.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's such an easy tip, right? So you're not saying don't ever wear black, but when you do wear black, balance it out. Find a way to convey. And you know, with my area of expertise with body language and nonverbal, like those are very strong nonverbal communicators, right? There's a whole category of nonverbal science called ornaments, which is what do you put on yourself that is conveying messages or meaning, right? So it's not inconsequential. And I know this. I freaking work in this space, right? Like of anyone who should have awareness of this and pay extra special attention to it, knowing scientifically the impact that it has in persuasion, influence, confidence, and competence. If anyone should be running the show on this, it should be me, right? And I just don't. Like, of all the things that matter, that's something I just didn't invest in, or didn't, you know, and we talked a little bit about how the personal brand is related to how you feel about your worth and imposter syndrome and all just this head trash stuff. Like, how do you balance what you do on a professional level with having to help people unpack their head trash and see themselves differently than that mess?
Oh, girl, that's a full-time job.
Well, I have benefited from this unpacking, so that's why I think it's so important to talk about today.
Well, I think the first thing, you know, always go back to, I have found that most people know what they like. So for instance, I'm going to use you as an example. There were things that you were doing that were spot on. All I did was enhance it. You knew the areas that you wanted to camouflage. Sometimes I think people focus so much on that because it's our own head space, and I call it like the itty shitty committee that's in our head that's just like,
yes,
right. And so what I always say to my clients is, you know, think about the things that you feel good in, and then ask yourself, why do I feel good in this? So for those listening that have a closet full of clothes with nothing to wear, start by get out all the stuff that does not fit. I mean, you are starting your day off like nana poo poo, right? Like, you just feel terrible about yourself.
Had to let go of those white linen pants. Not happening, not necessary, not adding value.
And yet the white linen pants, you know, every day it signifies I'm not good enough. There's a correlation between the clothes that hang in our closet and how we feel about ourselves. And so a lot of times I'll say to my clients, especially those who have a really hard time letting go of something, just move it to a spare bedroom, put it in your closet. Like, I don't care where you put it, but just don't make it the first thing you see when you walk in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want you to see, like, the white blazer that was hanging in your closet that still had tags on it. We gave that. That's like
blazer.
Yes.
This white blazer with the scrunch sleeves.
Yes. Yes, honey. Serve it up. You know, that was, for you, that I think was a game changer. You know, we were able to pair it with these things. And the funny thing is, you bought it. I didn't buy that. That was all you. You had that amazing piece that you've been able to transfer to different activities and whatever you're doing that day. If you're like, hey, I want to be a little bit more corporate, or I want to put this on with jeans and a t-shirt and go for date night or drinks with a friend. Like,
yeah,
that's a great investment.
It's been on TV, and it was in front of a big room of people today. So it's in rotation.
Exactly. And so it's like, that's where you start to see that people know. I just explain the why. Why does this work? Why did this work for you, Lisa? Why did you buy it? And I tell people, put some stuff, like, wear some things and take note. You know, are people noticing you? Like, I mean, I wear green, and it's funny. Every time I wear green, someone stops me or says something to me. And it's like, you'll start to figure out some things that, you know, if you're not hiring a stylist, that, hey, listen to the feedback. People are talking.
Yeah.
They notice.
Yeah. I think we have to first accept that we're worthy of being noticed. Right. But, and part of what I love about what you do and how it intersects with what I do is there's this whole kind of crisis right now of people going through an entire day of transactions, right? Lots of people, lots of activity, and they get home at the end of the day, you know, and when I ask this question in my sessions and say, how many people have gotten home at the end of the day and felt completely unseen? Like, every hand goes up, right? And as humans, our basic needs to be seen, heard, and valued. And so many of us are not being met on one or all three of those levels every single day. And I love that what you do is it's not put on, and it's not a costume, and it's not screaming for attention, but it's helping to bridge that gap and help people end every day saying, I was seen, I was heard, and I feel really valued. You know,
absolutely.
That's so huge.
Well, and I think, you know, I started doing this a few years ago. I was actually having dinner with my husband one night, and this woman walked in, and I looked at her, and she was amazing. And so, of course, I naturally looked back again. I did the up and down, because in my mind, I'm like, mental note, love her outfit, love her vibe. And what was interesting is I saw a change in her body language right after that. And she walked in very confident. And after my up and down looks, you could see she kind of like retracted a little bit. And as I was sitting there, it really bothered me. So I told my husband, I was like, hang on a second. I got up, I walked over to her, and I said, this is going to sound so bizarre. I said, but I realized I was staring at you, but I have to tell you, you look amazing. And I was like taking a mental note of your whole outfit. I'm a wardrobe stylist, and, you know, we laughed about it, but I realized that just even today, if I see somebody and I like something, tell them.
Yeah.
Because you're right. People aren't being seen and heard, and we are all about transactions and bigger and better and faster. And it typically comes at our own expense.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you wind up coming home thinking, I've given so much and I'm empty.
Mm.
And then we start the cycle again. So I think why I am such a huge proponent of wearing the clothes that you like is because it also sets the tone of, I will be seen, I will be heard, but I will also match what I deliver.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think that's beautiful. And I think you have, you know, if I can just acknowledge you for a moment, like, I will tell you, you are one of those people that I saw everywhere. I hear your name all the time. You're like the living legend. Super intimidated. super
Oh,
intimidated to
wow.
meet you, the theoretical you.
Right.
Right. And what a pleasant surprise when we get in the same place at the same time for the first time and instantly connect, and all the assumptions, other than the fact that we're both awesome, all the rest of that assumption stuff got peeled away. And then the evidence of like being just warm and supportive and funny, like all the evidence totally started being collected. Right. And when I walked out of there, when we, our first meeting was brief, but I walked out and I was like, man, oh man, what a great, like she made such a great first impression, and I had a digital impression, and I was already a fan from afar. But sometimes you get those impressions of people and then you meet them in real life and they're total assholes, or they're like all fake, or they're just like heinous human beings. And you're like, well, that really sucks. Sometimes it just happens because people create their facade, right? And then the rubber meets the road and you're standing in front of somebody. So I just want to thank you for, like, you are as amazing in person as you are every other place I've been introduced to you digitally, rumor mill and otherwise. And I think that that's such a true testament to the personal brand that you've built. I do care about people. I'm effective, but I show compassion, and I want to really highlight what works best for you. And that was absolutely the experience that I got with you, and continue to have with you. I'm texting you today about the scrunch sleeves, and you've given me a new energy around taking how I'm showing up in a room to the next level. So I have gratitude towards you for that. And I'm so appreciative of you. And my life has been leveled up in many ways, through your friendship and through your expertise. So I appreciate your generosity today. But I want to let people know where they can connect with you, Nicole, because what I know, everybody needs to know. And what you did for me, everybody could benefit from. So where can they go to connect with you, learn more, have you come raid their closet, all that good stuff?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much. Like, that means so much hearing that, because I'm still the little girl, right? So I still worry if people like me, if I'm doing a good job. So that means a lot to me that you see me as that, and that it does come through. So I greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And secondly, yes, I want to raid everybody's closets. I want everyone to feel amazing. So you could follow me on Instagram at Nicole Blair Wear. And you could obviously go to my website, NicoleBlairWear.com. And LinkedIn is always a great place. I'll post articles there. My Instagram is kind of a highlight reel. Like, I just want you to see who I am and what I'm about. And I'm crazy and I'm not perfect. And I even post pictures of me sometimes with my hair a mess and in sweats, because let's be honest, that's real life. I am not on at all times. So yeah, I would love to work with everybody and anybody, whether it's a speaking engagement or just doing a quick power hour. I have to tell you, I called it a taste of style, but then you dubbed it power hour, and I'm changing it to power hour.
You should absolutely change it to power hour, because it is a taste of style, but that doesn't sound like something I would normally say yes to. Right? Power hour, hell yeah, charge me up, let's go. And that's exactly what it did. So for what it's worth, I think the name is fitting for the activity. And I love that you offer so many different ways that people can work with you, and so many options. I'm a single mom. I'm a tech startup founder. I've been working for free for 8 months, basically, and so practically that's a concern for me. I can't go buy a bunch of designer clothes. I can't, that's just not something I can do. And that was not a barrier to working with you and having the benefit. And I love that you make it so accessible and so judgment free and just so comfortable to really just work with what people have. So I know you're going to be getting some new clients, and I know that you're really excited about working with executives and helping them take it to the next level and really find their personal brand. And so I'm excited to see what you do with other people from this, people that are listening and watching right now. I can't wait to see. I'm a big fan of your before and after pictures. It's a little weird being in them myself. But I'm trying to live out loud. And so that's part of it. So.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your vulnerability. And yeah, I mean, I think people, a lot of times I think it's overcoming the fact that I'm going to come into your closet and get rid of all of your clothes. And I mean, I have a client right now that I'm working with, an executive who shops at Target. I'm like, I could find great items anywhere. And I think the reality is, like, if you already have clothes, why are we shopping? Let's just rework what you have, repurpose what you have. And a power hour, you could do it. It's $200. It's in and out. And, you know, as you witnessed, you know, several outfits, it just checks the box. You don't have to think about it. So those mornings when you're like, I've got to get my daughter ready, and oh, I forgot to send this email. You're not standing in front of the closet, just pulling out clothes and then going back to your autopilot wardrobe, right? You have a new autopilot wardrobe that signifies who you are.
Yeah, that was so true this morning. I had to be downtown super early for a speaking gig, pouring down rain. Daughter couldn't find her volleyball stuff. You know, like that was my life this morning. But I'm like, oh God, at least I don't have to stress about what to wear, right? I open my closet. I'm like, this on, out the door. Such a blessing. So thankful for the experience. And I know the audience will be checking out your website and your jewelry line and everything else that you have going on. So I am excited to see the before and afters that are yet to come.
Thank you so much. This is honestly, it's been a pleasure. I'm so grateful for it. So thank you.
Thank you. So this has been powerbodylanguage.com's version of a podcast, right? The Lisa Mitchell Show. You can find me powerbodylanguage.com. You can find me all over the interwebs, usually at Lisa Mitchell Indy is where you will find me, or on LinkedIn. You really can't get away from me. Tons of videos on YouTube. Check out my channel. It's just Lisa Mitchell. And keep listening to this season, because the whole season is going to be all about empowering our presence and just showing up as our most clued and confident self in any situation, which is what we always aim to do. So on behalf of Nicole and I, have a great one.